Hello, I am back with Natalie Smith's YouTube channel. I will be reading to y'all the Nightbooks, Chapter 2. So if you've not seen the first video, well, it's pretty obvious. You're reading a book, you better go to the first book, So, I may continue in Chapter 2. Alex woke up on the lower half of the bunk bed. He had no idea where he was or how he got in there. He laid perfectly still, his body frozen with fear. Gradually, the events of the previous night returned into him. The elevator, the apartment, the witch. Except, she's not really a witch. Alex saw his mind racing. Witches aren't real. She was just some crazy lady who thinks she's a witch, but then why did I see a TV that wasn't really there? Did she hypnotize me or something? Alex clutched his blanket as a question of more imminent concern popped into his head. Who's sleeping on the top bunk? He stared at the iron bars holding the mattress in place above him, listening carefully for the breathing sounds. When he didn't hear anything, Alex slid to the floor and gently placed his foot on the bottom rung of the ladder, contacting the two bunks. It was one swift movement. He popped his head over the upper railing. There was no one there, just an old mattress without any sheets or blanket. Alex let out a sigh of relief. I never knew a bunk bed could be so scary, he thought. The rest of the room was small and plenty furnished. There was a standard mirror in the corner and two doors. The first one Alex opened led to the closet, which was mostly empty except for some children's clothes hanging from the rod. Flipping through shirts and pants and dresses of various sizes, Alex remembered something that the woman had said the previous night. Traditionally, it's some sort of food that draws them, he thought, with a sickening feeling of dread. I'm not the first. Of course, he accepted when the woman had said a face value. That meant the apartment was capable of reading children's minds in order to lure them in with the appropriate bait. Like a smarter version of Candy House and Hansel and Gretel, Alex thought. In my case, scary movie did the trick. He stared at the clothes before him. But what about these other kids? What about them here? Small Charlotte? A friend's voice? No, Alex said. That's impossible. There's no such thing as magic. He slammed the door shut with such ferocity that the empty hangers tingled together in response. Even if he rejected the magic as a factor, it would still left the disturbing possibility that he was just one of a long line of children who had slept in this room. And if he followed that train of thought to its final stop, Alex found himself facing an even more disturbing question. If he wasn't the first kid that she had taken, what had happened to the rest of them? Before his overactive imagination could supply any morbid answers, Alex crossed the room to the second door, nearly tripping over his backpack in the process. This door was normal in every way except that it had two keyholes instead of one. The upper keyhole was the usual kind, but the second bore a strange, crimson shape. Probably a special look, he thought, to keep anyone from escaping. Alex was so certain that attempting to open the door would be a dead end Then he gasped when the knob turned in his hand. She must have forgotten to lock it, he thought, with a faint glimpse of hope. Sucking in his breath, Alex opened the door as slowly and quietly as he could. The next room looked identical to the first. Simple bed, simple closet, standing mirror. In the corner, Alex stepped inside, weary of squeaking floorboards, and gently shut the door behind him. The moment he did, the door vanished and became a regular wall. What? Alex asked, backing away in a shock until he tripped over something on the floor. His backpack. It can't be, he said, shaking his head. That's still in the other room. After he checked the contents, however, there could no longer be any doubt. Either his bag had somehow teleported from one room to another, or something even stranger was happening. The trembling slightly, he opened the closet door. Children's clothes hung from the rod. They were identical in every way to the ones that he had been examining just a few minutes beforehand. It's the same room, Alex said in astonishment. He opened the door with the two keyholes and looked back and forth between the rooms, searching for the slightest difference. There wasn't any. He couldn't even see the door open in the other side of the second room, and then an endless series of identical rooms beyond this. Like a reflection in a maze of mirrors. Curious what would happen, Alex lifted his backpack and watched its twin rise into the air like a prop on a haunted house. It's a magical prison, he thought. There's no way to escape. Alex shut the door and took a seat on the edge of the bed. The wheels of the brain spun madly, trying to process the giant wrecking ball that had just tilted its world askew. Magic is real, he thought, his head in his hands. He stayed like this for a long time, till he was struck by a second idea, rising to his feet. Alex screamed as loud as he could while jumping up and down and pounding his fist against the wall, trying to make as much noise as possible. Help! I've been captured by a crazy woman. Call the police! This place was by magic, but it's still inside the New York City apartment building. He thought not some house in the middle of the woods. Someone wouldn't hear me. Someone will. The walls began to shake. A lifetime resident of the East Coast, Alex had never experienced an earthquake. What he was seeing wasn't feeling right now. However, floor vibrating, wall shaking was just he had imagined. An earthquake would be. Terror squeezed in the air from lungs. As the moment Alex was certain that the floor would crack open and swallow him whole, or the ceiling would collapse, burying him beneath a mountain of rubble, then it was over. What was that? Alex thought. He had fell to his knees and waited the equilibrium to return. Then it wouldn't have been an earthquake, not in New York. But then what was it? Alex heard a scratching noise and saw the doorknob start to turn. He had just enough time to notice that they had been interested in the crescent keyhole, not to the normal one, and not the witch entered the room. Why are you screaming? She asked. This apartment is enchanted. There can be an entire orchestra playing in the living room right now, and no one beyond these walls would hear a single note. She was wearing a flowing black dress with black boots and black lipstick. Her long black nails came to 10 sharp points. Around her neck hung a beetle, encased in amber. It was black. She sure looks like a witch, Alex thought. All she's missing is a broom and a pointy hat. A dozen keys dangled from the ring of her hand. Some were the typical kind, others were white and didn't look molestic at all. There was an earthquake or something, Alex said. There was just an apartment settling itself. It happens from time to time. Really, Alex asked. It felt pretty. The woman vanished before his eyes. Boo! She whispered in his ear. Oh, sorry. Boo! She whispered in his ear. Now standing behind him, Alex screamed and stumbled backward, nearly losing his balance. That was amazing, wasn't it? The woman asked, looking pleased with herself. You want to see it again? Alex shook his head, unable to speak. She's a witch, he thought. A real live, honest note to goddess witch. Please let me go. He finally managed the words, little more than a whisper. I won't tell anybody about this. Really? Alan, right? She asked. Alex. Not Alexandra. The woman said, remembering. I'm not sure. The thing of it is, I can't leave you. Not now. Not ever. Why not? Alex asked. And then in a voice that sounded impossibly small, he added, Are you going to do something bad to me? I'm a witch, she said. You're a child. We're not going to play checkers. Ever read my fairy tales? Alex nodded. Then you know how it is. She sighed with an expression. I don't really have time for this today. I'm already late for an important meeting. Nacho looked him over. Her eyes lingering on his stomach. She smirked. You don't look like much of a worker. A few too many ice creams, Sundays perhaps, but then, what should I do with you? You can let me go, Alex suggested. Okay, Nacho said. You're funny. Unfortunately, that's not the same thing as being useful. Whatever. Things don't work out, I'll just add you to the collection. She brushed her hands together in a cleaning motion. Problem solved. What does that? Nacho checked her watch and let out a high-pitched scream. You made me later than before. You only here for a few hours. You're already a problem. Not a good sign, Ellen. She slipped through the door and slammed it shut behind her. Alex heard the bolt click home. Without any windows by the witch, the judge, the passing time, the hours smudged together, making it difficult for Alex to determine how long he had been trapped inside the room. 4 hours, he wondered. 8. There was no one trying to escape. He was been back and forth between the two rooms at least a dozen times. He didn't bother screaming anymore. Alex believed Nacho when she said that no one could hear. After all, he had seen her vanish before his eyes and magically teleport across the room. Being able to soundproof her apartment didn't seem like much of a stretch. Alex tried for a while. He tried not to, but he couldn't help it. He felt cold and scared and alone and a little disappointed. All his life he had loved scary stories, and now he was inside of one. It should have been fun. The problem was that witches Alex didn't read about books were story scary. This was a real scary. It was a big difference. What is she going to do to me when she gets home tonight? Alex wondered. His imagination, as usual, leaped to the darkest conclusions. She might meet me, or boil me in a cauldron, or chop me up in the ingredients for a spell. Gruesome images flashed through his mind, each worse than the last. Alex wanted to shut them off, but it wasn't as easy as turning a veil or the flicking a switch as he could do in the wait and out. Finally he heard footsteps, as at first thought that Nasha had returned. His heart began to drop in his chest. This is it, he thought, only instead of unlocking the door, the mysterious lizard hesitated just outside the room. A long shadow scratched beneath the crack of the door. Hello? Alex asked. Is somebody there? He heard faint breathing behind the door. Please, he exclaimed. She's going to be back soon. You have to help me. The silence stretched on and on. Alex was staring to the wonder his imagination was getting the best of him. Again, when he heard a girl's soft voice. She liked stories. Floorboards squeaked at the shadow beneath the door. Retreated in moments. Alex was alone once again. The next chapter will be The Thing Inside the Backpack. That'll be chapter 3 for the next episode. See you soon.